Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Podcast. I'm Jason Abrams, and this is the place where we lift the curtain on the world of real estate like never before. Every week, I sit down with visionaries, pirates, and mavericks. We're here to document, demonstrate, and most importantly, demystify their game-changing models and systems. What secrets propel them to the top? And how are they living their dreams? This is about passion, it's about strategy, but above all, it's about real, tangible success. So buckle up and let's dive in. This is the Millionaire Real Estate Agent Podcast. Friends, today's guest was part of the largest teams in America at one point. There's literally almost not a job in the real estate business that she hasn't done. She is a serial entrepreneur. She runs a $100 million plus team, and she is the coach for coaches. I am talking about none other than Charlotte Savoy. And here's what's fascinating. To know Charlotte is to love her, but to love her business is actually to know her. What do I mean by that? Charlotte's looked up, and after running some of the biggest businesses in the industry, she's decided the sweet spot for her team. She understands the amount of money and the size of the business that she wants to own to live the life that she wants to live. And she is going to teach us how events are the cornerstone in that empire. And I'm telling you, this is the deepest event system I think you're going to hear in a while. She's going to tell you how to win next year in November of this year. And that's the genius. Friends, sit back and buckle up. This is Charlotte Savoy. Charlotte, how are you?
I'm awesome. How about you?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course. It's my pleasure.
So you live just a monolithic, a giant business life. I mean, you've been part of teams that do, 1,500 units plus. You own market centers. You own other businesses. I mean, you are a true entrepreneur. But I know that nobody starts that way. So I want to go all the way back to the beginning. Take a few minutes and tell us, how did you get into the greatest industry in the world?
So my husband and I were engaged to be married, and we bought our first house sort of on a whim. Now, listen, I'm old now, but this was back before the internet was even popular, right? So I got on the internet and I found a listing, and I called the agent and said, I want to buy this house. We bought it. It was a not so great experience. So what ended up happening was the house itself was great, but it wasn't in a good school district. It wasn't near our families and our friends and the things that we did. And I thought, this is so weird that somebody could just allow you to buy a house without asking any questions. So I decided I can do this better. And I went online and I figured out how to get my license. And then the first week I got my license.
Hang on, I want to stop you because I got to tell you, Charlotte, I hear this story all the time, which is we bought a piece of real estate. It wasn't a great experience, so I became a realtor. But I got to ask, because I've went to a ton of restaurants, had a bunch of bad meals, and never became a cook. I've also had a bunch of bad experiences with painters. I've never become one of those or any other contractor. Why is it that so many people are, why you? Why did this thing become the thing that you said, you know what, not only can I do it, but I want to do it?
That's a great question. I've never actually been asked that before. I think my childhood was like a little tough, and home for me was the place that I was going to create an amazing family, amazing memories, great childhoods for my kids. And for us to have saved our money and bought a house only to find out our kids couldn't go to that school and we were driving back and forth, it lit a fire under me of like, gosh, like I'm so young and everybody I know is about to start doing this. And what if I could help them avoid this exact experience? And so that's what I said after.
At that time, did you know how the money worked? Like, did you know that not only...
No.
That didn't play into it?
Literally not at all. I was a single mom at 19, and I was used to working 3 or 4 different jobs. So I got my real estate license while I had a pretty good job. I was 23, making decent money, and I got the license at night, and then I actually quit my job. And I was like, I think I can make plenty of money doing this and I'm going to love it. So I quit my job and that really lit a fire under me. That first week I got my license, I went to Howard Brinton Star Power University with all the people that now are like famous at KW were teaching the class. And I learned exactly how to do it the right way. And then I called that agent and I said, I am going to be your first buyer agent. You've probably never even heard of that, but that's what I'm going to be. We'll be on a 50-50 split. I'll go sell all the houses and work with all the buyers because you're kind of bad at it. You work with the sellers. And that's what I did. And I sold 52 buyer sides my first year and another like 15 sellers.
52 transactions your first year?
Yeah. And I was 23.
It's unbelievable. Two questions there. Number one, how did you get enough customers to sell that many homes? And number two, what was the one thing you learned? I mean, you're a rookie year selling 52 units. What did you learn?
I learned that as hard as you're willing to work is the life that you can have. So I did some things that were out of the box. You know, I was in an area where there was a lot of new construction and I got to know every sales model, what they offered, the builder reps, all of that. And at the time in our state, it was illegal for buyers to get charged more because there was an agent involved. So I built these relationships and I would literally sit outside. I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's what I did. I just tried to get creative. I sat outside of model homes. I drove around neighborhoods. And when I saw people that appeared to be looking for houses, I would get out with a bunch of papers and talk to them and say, you know, are you thinking about buying? I know every builder in this neighborhood. Tell me what you're looking for. I may even be able to help you get a washer and dryer for free. And that's literally how I did it. And then what I did is I called my closest friends that had good jobs and said, listen, you could buy a house and this is what your payment would be and you save this in taxes. And so I started a lot of my friends on buying their first homes pretty young, and that's how I did it.
I thought it was interesting as we were preparing for this. You said, I've been in businesses that have done as many as 1,500 units. But for me now, at this stage in my life, my favorite sweet spot is the 5-person team that does 2 to 250 units per year for 100 to 140 million in volume. And I thought that was really refreshing because there's this thinking in the industry right now, more for the sake of more at all times.
Yeah.
How did you come to this realization?
So having had really large teams, I helped launch one of the very first expansion teams with Gary. And we were in 16 locations and 9 states. And at that level, for me, I'm the kind of person, we're very systems driven, models driven. Everything we build at scale. So with those 200 units, I have one director of operations. She does my listings, my transactions, my financials, my marketing, everything. So my systems are built for scale in that way. But what I learned was that, you know, like the people, it's a lot. It's a lot. 125 people on your team is a lot to manage. And you have to be willing to meet people where they're at and accept them for who they are and what their goals are. And I think having had really big teams in 2008, when the market shifted, I was partners in the #1 team in the world. And my husband and I lost everything. We had 56 people on the team and had to lay off 40 of them. And I think I've been through these journeys where I've done it big, I've done it small, I've done it alone. This level 5-ish, 6-ish agent is the sweet spot for me because I like things the way I like them. I like people that get in the box and play well in the box. Everybody on my team has been with me now at least 6 years. People that are not on my team, I still have great relationships with. I've trained hundreds of agents, but I have really good relationships with them because I just don't think we cannot be a match. And that doesn't make me bad or you bad. It's just this doesn't fit. And I like things the way I like them. And I work best with people who like to follow models and want to know what the rules are. And everybody does the same thing. And it just works. And it's profitable and it's more fun and it feels more like a family. When it gets bigger than that for me, I think it loses the local, close thing that I'm after.
I love that. And I love that you said for me. And by the way, when we mentioned, the levels, that came out of the book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. When we mentioned Gary, we're talking about Gary Keller, who together with Jay Papasan and Dave Jenks, they wrote the book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, which of course is the namesake for the show. Gary always says, everybody gets to say when, but nobody gets to say when for anybody else. And so being willing to engage in an internal dialogue around what's the sweet spot for me? What's the profit I want to take out of this business to go live the life that I want to live it's such a valuable conversation and so often missed. And that people look up and they build an org chart instead of a profit margin, or they chase the sake of more, and then they look up and they feel like they have less no matter how much more they get.
I've had it every which way. And I think the other reason that that's the sweet spot for me is I like to have multiple things going. And at the level where you have 40, 50, 100 agents, even 20 agents, that really has to be your primary focus or you're not doing it well. And for me, I'm a coach. I own multiple businesses and a market center. You know, I'm a student of Gary. I've been with Keller Williams for 18 years. I have had the honor of working with him closely for the last few years, building a company. And I'm very learning based. And what I realized, you know, if I look back, this is my 25th year. If I look back, I started in real estate without a college degree, single mom, all those things. I think the odds were stacked against me. But just because I was willing to be learning based and look at how people like Kristen Cole and other people were doing it and just following their model and then getting introduced to Gary and his models, for me, what is the most important thing is I have built a massive life. And my life is not just about money or things. Like, I create the most amazing experiences with my kids and my family. And for me, what I've realized is it is about creating opportunity for people around me. And having a big real estate team limits my ability to create opportunity. If I make enough space to sell a couple hundred houses a year and change the lives of the 5 or 6 people that are in my team, but then I own a market center and I can pour into another 150 or 200. And then I'm a coach and I can pour into a few more and help them grow. Like, giving myself the space to build business maps with thousands of businesses whose lives the owners are being changed. That's how I kind of give back to this beautiful life that probably I shouldn't have had, and I do have. And so that's why for me it is small, because I have to be able to make it bigger.
I love that. You mentioned Kristen Cole. By the way, friends, if you haven't listened to her episode of this show, go do that. You're going to hear how she rode horseback from door to door in order to build this real estate business. I'm not kidding. Horseback in Alaska. It's worth a listen. All right, I want to switch gears. I want to get into this. And by the way, before we do, everybody, breathe easy. You don't have to take the notes. I'm taking the notes. Charlotte can test to it. She's watching me write in real time.
Yep.
You can get the notes at mreanotes.com. So sign up at mreanotes.com and we'll send out the notes from this episode on Thursday of this week. They come out every Thursday. Charlotte, the vast majority of the business that y'all do is sphere of influence based. And when I asked you, I said, well, okay, what's the one thing that makes that possible? You said, well, there's a bunch of things, but one stands out. And that's this idea of events. Now, y'all do events every month.
Yep.
And you have a model for how you communicate before, during, and after the event that makes it so possible. So walk me through this and tell me exactly how to do it.
Okay. So when I say events, I don't always mean like a big, huge event. An event to us is really a targeted marketing plan for the month on how we're going to touch our database. And our database includes Mets and haven't Mets. So in November of each year, we do an annual team advance and we pull out our marketing calendar. So I created a Google Doc that just literally is December, January, February, March, all throughout the year. And we create a theme for each month. The freshest example I have is last month we did, for the very first time, a client appreciation event at the Baltimore Orioles Stadium where we invited what we call our VIPs. And those are A pluses and A's. So we categorize our database, A plus, A, B, C, and D, right? D is farming, A plus is they've worked with us multiple times. And I can give you how that breaks down. But what we do every month, so we'll pick the theme. So if Orioles game was the theme, 6 weeks ahead of time, we send out an Evite. Yes?
I want to stay sequential. So right now, because now you're about to jump into the event, which is important, but I want to map this so that I get it.
Okay, got it.
The first thing I'm going to do is the November before the new year, I'm going to meet with all my people and we are going to lay out, there's 12 months in the new year. That's step one.
Yep.
Step two is we're going to decide on a theme for each of those months.
Yes.
So 1 month might be baseball month and 1 month might be Halloween month. It doesn't matter. Okay, we're going to pick our theme. The next thing, it sounds like we're going to decide which segments of our database we're going to be targeting for that month. Is that right?
We actually target every segment. This is the thing that probably we flipped 3 years ago, and it changed everything. We actually find a way to use the theme to target every layer of our database. Now, the offering might be different. So those A+ and A's might get to have something different than the D's do, but they will all have an opportunity to participate in whatever the theme is that month, which has been a game changer for us.
I totally get this. So if someone's an A+, they might be sitting on the first base line. If someone is a D, I'm sure there's a great postcard that they're going to get about baseball season with a calendar.
That's or an opportunity to enter a drawing after the event. Yes.
Love it. Totally get it. Okay, so now I got my 12 months. I got my themes. I understand that I'm going to hit everybody in the database. The next step now is deciding what event we're going to have for the theme.
Yeah. Well, I would say back up one step. We set a budget. We review our P&L from the year before. Our events, which is also marketing, is 10% of our net profit from last year. So we'll take that budget and figure out first, the big events are going to cost what? Because we do 2 to 3 really big in-person events. The pop buys are going to cost this much. What can we do that's free? So we set a budget around that so that we know A, how much money we have to spend, and B, how much money we need to collect from our vendor partners.
Got it. So number 1, get my 12 months. Number 2, pick my themes. Number 3, understand I'm going to market to the whole database. Number 4, I'm now setting my budget. 10% of the net profit from the previous year is this budget. The next step is picking which are the biggest events and figuring out what they're going to cost.
Yes. Because we can backfill like a pop buy, right? We're doing a pop buy this month. Your pop buy could be $1 to $10. But if you spend $10 and then have a client event that's $10,000 the next month, you're definitely asking for trouble. And we've learned that the hard way. So we start with the big events and then we work our way back. We also share that schedule. So we create a vendor tracker list and we figure out which vendors are going to get to participate in which events ahead of time. So we do all of that in November as well, because we have multiple lenders and multiple titles and all of that. And we want everybody to have an opportunity to participate, but we're very strategic in how we're going to make space for that.
And then are those vendors, are they paying dollars to be part of those events?
Lots of dollars, Jason. And anybody that's not doing that is missing out.
Ultimately, and ballpark it for me, but does it end up doubling this 10% budget by the time you collect from your...
At least. My real goal is we take a 10% net profit budget. Our goal is actually to zero that out. And when we do, we are able to pay for our team prize when we hit our goal, which is typically I take everybody and their spouses to Mexico or Jamaica or something like that, because we've all worked together to zero that balance out. And provided we hit our goals for units for the year, that pays for their trip.
I love that. Wow. I'm joining the team if we're going to Jamaica. So November is busy. I mean, before the year even starts, I've figured out my themes. I've set my budget. I've picked which events are going to be the biggest. I've also decided which vendors are going to be there. So I'm doing a ton of stuff before I'm even getting into the new year.
You have to, because otherwise January comes and you're already a month and a half behind, because part of our process is invites go out for whatever it is 6 weeks ahead of time. So some of our planning is happening 2 months to 2.5 months ahead of time. We might need to order things. You know, one of the things that we've learned is when you wait till the last minute to do anything, you pay double. But if you do it ahead of time, you can shop for it. You can figure out where the best prices are. You can ask for a discount. And when you've got the budget set aside, it makes it much easier to pre-negotiate. Now, we're not going to order stuff in January for our fall festival in October, but we will pre-order the petting farm and the moon bounce, and we will pre-order some of that so that we make sure we're not scrambling at the last minute for we can't find a moon bounce and now we have to go to Costco and actually buy one because we can't find one.
Now, she's kind of joking, right? Because she says, like, you could forget to order the moon house, the bouncy moon house, and end up buying one, which she actually did, by the way. But here's an interesting side note. We've documented a model in the past where we've had a real estate agent who looked up and said, okay, what are all the things that people need in order to have parties at their houses. Graduation parties, little kid parties, you name it. Whether it's the popcorn machine or the margarita machine or the bounce house, you name it, this real estate agent went out and bought all of it. Then they put all of these things into a warehouse, and their MOFR, make offer for immediate response to everyone in their farm area, was if you ever need to borrow one of these things, we'll let you borrow it. Come to the warehouse, pick it up. There's no cost. We're your real estate agents for life. And I think that's absolutely genius. And so she kind of said it as a joke, but I want to remind you, adding unique value to your database and farm areas can come in many different forms. And this is just one of them. Okay, so am I ready to be done with the month of November? Am I good to go into the new year?
Yeah, we can go into the new year.
Okay, so what happens next? I now know, I guess my first event's in January. I got to get started.
Yeah, so we would start that in November. And on this tracker that I built, which I will share an example with you. You can use it however you want. But essentially what we do is there's a theme, there's a task list with dates of exactly who's doing what. And then there's an area for our budget and our numbers, goal versus actual. And then there's a section of text messages, social media posts, emails. One of the things that my team loves is we literally duplicate. I will literally draft a text message with emojis and all of that and drop it into the tracker. And they will use that message to the people that it goes to. So if it's A pluses, they get this one. If it's Bs, and we do lead gen twice a week together in the office. We call it Sphere and Gear. So we come into the office and we just do our texts or our emails or our calls, whatever we're doing, but we're all doing the exact same thing. And it makes it much easier to execute.
So this kicks off 6.5 weeks before the event. I'm now starting to invite to the event.
100%. Yeah. So we also, a year ago, not even a year ago, created, I don't know what took me so long, but we created a VIP Facebook group. So our A pluses and A's are in a private Facebook group with us where we communicate with them and we have fun with them. But we've now started including them in the process and letting them vote on things that they might like to do. So before we did this last event, we had never done it before. My team thought it was a great idea, and I was the cog in the wheel. I was like, people aren't going to like that. So we did a vote and said, hey, guys, if we did this, would you want to come? And people went bananas. So now what we do is in our VIP group, they hear about it first before we start texting and sending out invites. They get 48 hours to RSVP before we announce it to our other A and B clients, which has been huge. And one of the things that we started doing too is my team delivers to each agent congratulatory social media posts with an image and copy and paste. But now we've started tagging that VIP group saying, congratulations, Jason, on your first home, blah, blah, blah. We love working with you. Now Jason gets to be a member of the Savoy Team's VIP private group. And what happens is people are asking to join. And then we're able to send them back a message and say, the way you can join is by buying or selling with us or referring somebody that wants to do business with us. And it's like people want to be part of this group. So we've got about 450 people in there right now, but we just started it in February. And that has been really big because people feel included.
I love this, that there's a hierarchy to the invites. It's the private VIP Facebook group. Then it's everybody else in the database.
Yes.
Then are you hitting social media?
So we do all of that actually at the same time. So the VIP group gets it first. I craft a social media post to say, if you're a member of the VIP group, get in there now because we're releasing tickets to this or we're whatever. And if you're not, stay tuned because in 48 hours, we'll post your opportunity. So we're using both. We're creating fear of missing out from everybody else on our social media and getting people amped up. So as an example, this Orioles event that we just did, I started with 200 tickets. I thought 200 is a lot. Our big events get 200 to 300 people that attend. So I thought 200 tickets is probably enough. And we'll give them a swag bag, whatever. Well, we put it in the VIP group. 189 people RSVP'd yes in the first hour. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
Oh, what? We ended up with 400 tickets. I just had to cut it off because I was like, at some point, it's too much. So that VIP group trick worked. like majorly.
I love that. All right, so now we've went crazy on invites. What do we do next?
So now let's say there's 5 weeks between that and the event. We have a structured timeline of text messages, emails, phone calls, voicemails, slide dials, whatever we're doing to connect with them to say, we started, let's say that event, we started with 200 tickets. We raised it to 250. We raised it to 300. That was all intentional. So we could say, I haven't seen your RSVP and we just added 50 more tickets. Would you like to come? And so there's every week, not in a like too much kind of way, but like once a week, we'll send them a message and they're used to it. So they don't feel like we're bothering them. They're used to us saying, did you get the message? Did you get the this? So there's all of that, plus their social media activities happening saying, okay, guys, we just added another 50 tickets. So that's all happening for the 4 weeks leading up to the event. Then at the same time, our director of operations has already collected the money from the sponsors, is ordering whatever. Like for that, we have a giveaway. For our big events, we have a giveaway. We also do a food drive for our charity. Our team feeds 226 kids every week in elementary schools in our county that's entirely funded by our real estate business. So at every event, we also say your free ticket is to bring us something from this list, Cheez-Its, canned goods, whatever. So we just try to tie everything together so that no matter where you see it, A, you feel like you're part of it, even if you're not a VIP. B, if you're not part of it, you really want to be part of it. And C, you know that we're coming from a good place. We just want to be part of the community. Like it's not like an ego thing or we don't have that. And we're super fun. So all of our social media is emojis and fun and cracking jokes. And we're just trying to create like a real solid relationship with people.
I love that. By the way, I love that you say we're just a lot of fun because if you haven't listened to the episode with Christine Marcasello, she says we're not any fun. That's not our identity. And you should listen to that show because she goes a completely different route. But here's the thing. Everybody gets to decide the way that they're going to show up, and then their clients get to decide if that's how they like being serviced. And I love it because it allows everybody to go out and build the businesses they ultimately want to be involved in.
Yeah.
So now I got everybody there. The interesting thing here is it sounds like the event is almost secondary to all the touches you get to make prior to the event.
Oh, yeah. Now, let me also say, Jason, because I know sometimes when I teach this, people are like, I could never do 400 tickets at the Orioles game. The same concept goes true for a pop buy, goes for a pie giveaway, goes for anything, right? Like this particular event was a massive event. But what we decided to do was instead of meeting them at the stadium, we had them come to our office for a ticket pickup the day before because we knew we might not be able to actually talk with them at the game. So we had them come and pick up their tickets and their swag bag the day before. So we got to reconnect with them. So that was another reason for us to text them, hey, I'm looking forward to seeing you today. We get to the event. We greet everybody. We're all in one section. We bought so many tickets, Jason, they made me go down on the field and like take a picture with the Oriole bird and get a free autographed baseball from, I don't know, who he is, but he's supposed to be rookie of the year. They're giving us all this stuff. So what I did was I texted my director of ops and I was like, hey, all this stuff they just gave me, this is the second chance drawing. This is going to be for the A's to the D's that didn't get to come. So we do the event, everybody have fun. Everybody's taking pictures. We take tons of pictures. Each one of us at every event takes at least 20 pictures so that we make sure that we have a reason to follow up with them, to send them photos, to tag them on social media. We say goodbye, have a nice night. And then the next day from any event, we'll do more social media posting. We'll do a thank you message to those that came. And then we get to do about 2 weeks of texting. I'm so sorry we missed you. I know this wasn't the right event for you, or you couldn't make it. We missed you. It was so much fun. We'll set the date earlier next year so that you can make sure to plan for it. And by the way, our next event is X. I'm doing a pop by, or we're having a snow cone thing, so we'll include them ahead of time to know what date our next thing is happening.
That little detail is genius. I've heard a ton of models on events, and they're all great. The two things that jump out me on yours is this private Facebook group for your A's and your A pluses and letting them actually vote and have a say in the event. And then the last one, which is I'm not just thanking the people that are coming. I'm kind of apologizing to everyone who didn't. Wasn't the right event, wasn't on the right day. Let's get you to the next one. Charlotte, that is so smart.
Love it. Well, I don't know who taught it to me, but I didn't make it up myself. It's a nugget I took away from Mega Camp or somewhere that somebody else was doing it and I just duplicated it. It is really smart.
So give me off the top of your head, give me some examples of great events. I got a petting farm, I got a moon bounce house thing, I got a baseball game.
Yeah, so you could do, let's see, for agents that don't have a huge budget, pop buys are a really good idea. You can go to Etsy, get the little card, customize it yourself. This month, we're doing a pop buy with sunscreen that says, I've got you covered, and it's got our picture, and it's cute.
Now, I asked Charlotte for examples of events, and what she says is, don't worry, I'll send them to you. I am going to give you examples of events that you can run. Don't worry about taking notes on this. We're going to provide it. But Charlotte cleanly said to me, look, Jason, there's almost nothing that can't be done as an event, but here are some of my favorites. You have the first-time homebuyer seminar. You have career nights. You have 4th of July fireworks. You have housewarming parties. You have the outdoor drive-in movie. You have local farms, charity events with booths, school sponsorships, hero deliveries to the fire stations and to hospitals. You have bowling with the Easter Bunny, which, by the way, that sounds awesome. Parties at your home. She does a mystery murder dinner, which sounds crazy to me, or even crafting events. Community yard sales and dumpsters days, ice cream trucks to your farm and family, photos with Santas, photos with the Grinch, Super Bowl squares and prizes, pop buys, football and baseball, magnets and games, donations to charities and your clients' names at the events, shredding events for the documents they wish they had gotten rid of, community yard sales, VIP events, Thanksgiving pie giveaway, fall festivals, including a pumpkin patch music and a petting zoo, lucky lottery mailings with dollar scratch-offs around St. Patrick's Day, baseball tickets, end of school snow cone truck, back to school supply drive, private movie theater screening, outdoor drive-in theaters with snack giveaway, housewarming parties, and of course, who could ever forget the annual tear-off calendar of football season. Friends, all of those things can be done as an event. That's what Charlotte told me. I love it. It's fantastic. We want to invite you to our lightning round. We want to ask you a series of questions. We want the first thing that comes to your mind.
Great.
What's your favorite color?
Yellow.
What is your favorite food?
Lobster.
Stop the lightning round. It's so good.
It's so good. I literally could live on lobster.
By the way, lobster is one that gets mentioned the most often lately.
It might just be the butter, but I do like the lobster.
It's fantastic. All right, back in. Favorite movie?
Top Gun.
The first one or the second?
The first, but I really like the second.
It was a great sequel.
It was a great sequel.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Is there a book, doesn't have to be MREA or anything we've written here, is there a book that you think everyone within the sound of your voice should read? It can be as old or as new.
Well, besides MREA, I would say Dare to Lead by Brené Brown is probably like one of my favorites. But honestly, I'm like surrounded by books, so I don't even know which one to tell you. But MREA is probably it. And The One Thing, that's probably, let's say that. The One Thing, when The One Thing came out, it was just after the market shifted and I had the number one team in the world and we lost everything. And I really was struggling to find clarity. The One Thing literally just laid the path for me of just do this. If you can just master this and your time blocking and this, it will all work itself out. And that's probably it.
Love that. Is there a podcast other than this one that you like to listen to? Is there a voice you want in your head?
I listen to anything that's going to inspire me. So I love Ed Milet. I love Think Like a CEO. I listen to some of the Crime Junkie stuff because I'm weird, but anything that's going to inspire me is what I'm going to listen to.
Best vacation spot in the world?
Oh man, that's tough. So I live a big life. I just got back from 3.5 weeks in Portugal and Spain, and that was amazing. But I would say my all-time favorite is probably Ireland.
There it is, friends. You heard it here. Charlotte Savoy, big on the Irish. We love it. Thank you. Charlotte, you've been a mentor to me over the years. You've been a coach. You help so many people. And on behalf of the entire industry, we're really grateful. Thank you for everything you're doing for real estate agents.
Oh, well, right back at you. You're doing just the same.
There it is, friends. Charlotte Savoy. That's a database business, right, friends? That's a database business. The way that she painstakingly plans all of these things is all designed to do one thing: which is surprise and delight. Now, what's the definition of surprise and delight? It's those things that we do that get the things that we want to happen. What are those things? Repeat business, referral business, and positive reviews. So she wakes up every day saying, I'm going to use events and parties and touches as my delivery mechanism of love to get those three things. That's what she's doing. She literally wakes up every day passionate about loving the people in her database, and she shows that love through these events. She also wins November of the previous year, and this can't be overstated. This all works because she crushes November. If you were going to tell me that we were going to have spent half the show talking about what she does the November before the new year, I never would have believed it. But that's how it doesn't seem so overwhelming during the time these events happen. And that's the lesson here. Anything worth doing is worth planning for. Anything worth planning for is worth doing. Friends, Charlotte Savoy taught me one thing above all else on this episode. She taught me the power of the database. It doesn't take 1 million people. It can be as few as 2,000 or 3,000 people. If you love them the right way, they will turn around and love you right back. Go forth and do likewise. There it is. That wraps another episode. Friends, I don't know what you're taking out of this. I really don't. I'll tell you what I want you to be taking out of it, which is these are the people that are having tremendously big lives. And the reason it's happening is because they're setting up the models and systems to do just that. Gary Keller told me that leadership is teaching people how to think so that they do the things they need to do when they need to do them, so that ultimately they get the things they want when they want to have them. And that's what I want for you. You're all leaders, but it begins with leading ourselves. If you're enjoying this podcast, I want you to click the subscribe button anywhere that you get your podcasts. We want to be the voice in your head every single week, and every week we're dropping new content. We also send out a newsletter at the conclusion of every show to make sure that you get the highest points in the models and systems that were discussed. So if you want to sign up, I need your name and your email address. Head over to the millionaireagentpodcast.com. millionaireagentpodcast.com. Enter your name and your email address, and every week that newsletter will be in your box. Friends, you just went on a journey. I hope that what happens between now and the next time we meet is absolutely wonderful for you. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week.
This podcast is for general informational purposes only. The views, thoughts, and opinions of the guest represent those of the guest and not KWRI and its affiliates, and should not be construed as financial, economic, legal, tax, or other advice. This podcast is provided without any warranty or guarantee of its accuracy, completeness, timeliness, or results from using the information. Warning: you must comply with the TCPA and any other federal, state, or local laws, including for B2B calls and texts. Never call or text a number on any do not call list, and do not use an auto dialer or artificial voice or pre-recorded messages without proper consent. Contact your attorney to ensure your compliance.